Now, finally, India has successfully set a record by launching 104 satellites into orbit at the same time.
2, 1, 0, plus 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, the rocket carrying them took off from the southern spaceport of Saharikota. It held a 714-kilogram satellite and 103 nano-satellites. Among their uses, the satellites will monitor roads and create maps for water distribution. Most of them are owned by the United States. Russia held the previous record by launching 37 satellites in 2014. Well, for more on this, TRT World's science reporter Surav Roy joins us now in the studio. It's quite a sizable jump from that Russian number to this latest launch by India. What does this mean for the Indian Space Agency?
It is indeed a huge accomplishment. But in terms of science, it is not just taking up 103 or 104 satellites up into space. It's also successfully deploying them in orbit, which means a lot of complicated math and a lot of complicated physics into it. And that by itself is a huge accomplishment, to have 103 satellites being deployed in formation, such that all of them, as you rightly said, are nanosatellites. All of them are flying together in a formation in unique orbits. That by itself is a huge accomplishment. The Indians are not looking at setting record. They're looking at maximizing their capacity, which means that they're looking at pushing the next frontier. What could be the next frontier for them?
What could be the next frontier for them? What are they looking at?
Well, they've already sent the world's cheapest yet the most successful Mars mission, known as Mangalyaan. They've sent a very successful mission to the moon called as Mangalyaan. They're now looking at trying out the GSLV, the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle, in the months to come. They're looking at sending more missions to Mars, to Moon, as well as to Jupiter and Saturn as well. And if one has to go by what the space agency ISRO says, the Indian Space Agency, they're looking at one launch a month. Now that means a huge amount of science and technology research and development taking place within the agency.
And just how big an achievement is this? We've touched on the figures. Why exactly are they spending so much money, putting so much effort into this?
Because it's, like I said earlier, it's not about the money. It's testing your capacity versus your knowledge of science. Now, we all know that there are many space nations who have the ability to send rockets as well as satellites into space, but ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, is by far the most successful space agency, given the fact that it hasn't had any major or any massive failures in the last 10 years. It has had some of its accomplishments, some of them minor, some of them major, but yeah, this is a huge accomplishment for them in the long run.
Okay, fascinating stuff. Surav Roy, thank you very much as always.